Hi, it's Darin Eppich. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to go into the most talked about subject or of interest in the world. That is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. No, we're not going to talk about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Just had to reference it because everyone's talking about it. It's probably number two. But number one is interest rates and inflation and the potential of the looming recession. Everyone believes we're going to go into a recession. I'm here to talk about the interest rates, a little bit about inflation, and what if we go into a recession. It's pretty likely. And so recently, as of May 4th, to go back into interest rates, because I talk about mostly real estate here on the show, it went up 50 basis points. That's the second rate hike that the Fed has done this year. Rates have been going up anyways. We're doing this to counter inflation. The Fed is doing this to counter inflation, and you can expect 5 more interest rate hikes the rest of the year. That's what they're saying. So we might be seeing rates go up to, well over 6. Today we had one of the worst days in the stock market, so it's gonna be bumpy. So I'm going to kind of give you an idea, a little bit about the history of interest rates being, hiked up. Some say it reminds them of the great inflation back in the, that led us to the 81-82 recession. I know everyone hates the word recession. Even I, when I started hearing it beginning of the year, end of last year, it kind of, freaked me out. But we were just actually in a recession at the beginning of COVID. It's gonna be interesting. It is very much so a scary word for a lot of people. If you were around for 2008 to 2010, it was kind of a wild ride. Actually made me change industries altogether and even move out of the current city I was living in to Los Angeles. If you don't like hearing the word recession, please hit the like button. I love it. This is very helpful. This helps me create more videos, gets more views, likes, more subscribers. So please, you hear the word recession, smash the like button, help me out. Now, as stated, we're going to discuss interest rates, why they're being hiked, and if it's taking us towards a recession. And then we're going to also kind of give you, we will discuss interest rates as a whole moving forward. We'll give the historic interest rates during recessions. We'll give you an idea about housing prices moving forward. And then we'll also talk about, is it still good to buy a home in 2022? First, the Fed is raising interest rates in 2022. They've talked about it for a while, and they're doing it. Mid-March, it went up 25 basis points. That's why you saw this, the frenzy of January and February. I think a lot of people started the new year like they're gonna buy, and they're like, I need to buy now before these interest rates hike. The reality is, yeah, the interest rates are going up, but they're still really good historically. Number two, as of yesterday, May 4th, the Fed hiked them up 50 basis points. The key thing to note here is that this should not be a surprise anymore. This is a plan to counter inflation. Interest rates are going to go up 5 more times, apparently, per the Fed until the end of the year. They're hoping this does a very a good job at softening, or a soft landing as they call it, to counter inflation so it doesn't rock the economy too much. But we're most likely going to go into a recession, even though interest rates is helping this become possible, but I think it was bound to happen anyways. It happens every, I believe, 12 to 13 years usually, and so it's time. One note that's interesting is because of interest rates going up, mortgage applications are down 40% from April of 2021. It's a lot because prices have gone up enough where those interest rates can make a difference for a lot of first-time buyers and certain people in certain markets. So that's not surprising. Another key note is inflation is the highest it's been in 40 years. This is why the Fed is raising interest rates, is because it's the highest it's been in 40 years. Right now, as of March of this year, it was at 8.5%. That's the highest since 1981. There's a lot of other factors of why countering inflation and raising interest rates is good for the economy domestically and globally. I'm not going to go into the stock market this time or, your savings account or what it means on consumer spending. Some people do that. I'm just going to talk purely about interest rates now, then eventually, the housing prices, whether or not you should buy, etc. And as stated, because interest rates are going up, the days of cheap money for now is over. So I think a lot of buyers and sellers need to get used to this. They're not going to get crazy numbers like we saw earlier this year, end of last year, over asking on their homes, not on all their homes. If you're a buyer, you're going to pay a little bit more. Sorry, if you waited, didn't pull the trigger, what happens? But, timing's everything. Does that mean rates are still high overall? No, they're over like the last 30 years, they're still historically low. In the 80s, I think they went up to 13% at one point. So we're not that high yet. It's been a dramatic increase since last fall, but historically, we're still relatively low. But the days of the 2 to 3% right now, I hear that next year we're going to see more opportunities for rates to go down after we've countered inflation, but we don't have a crystal ball. And economists, experts can have predictions, but doesn't mean they're going to be right. So as of right now, it's low, but it's still increasing. So number 2, housing prices moving forward in 2022 and moving forward in general. There's a lot of people that think there's going to be, the talks of recession. I know a lot of buyers are waiting. They're like thinking there's this bubble or there's going to be a big correction. Moving forward, we're not seeing it. Interest rates will continue to rise. Home prices are predicted to continue to rise. That has a lot to do with there's still buyer demand, a lot more than actual inventory. So it's just economies of scale. So moving forward, we do foresee that, this bubble that everyone keeps hoping for, every expert's not predicting it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it really doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. And then, like I said, I'm gonna share with you in a second, even though we're going into recession, over the last number of recessions, I think 6 recessions in the last 50 years, you may be surprised on this chart that you see right now. And I said the word recession, so you need to like this video if you don't mind. Recession doesn't necessarily mean that housing prices are gonna go down. I know I bought during the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, 2010, or 07 to 2009, whatever you want to call it. I bought in the beginning of 2009. The prices go down dramatically in Phoenix. And I can tell you that was a very unique situation. This chart below shows you, I think that's the only time in the last 6 recessions, last 50 years, that housing prices didn't increase even during a recession. So a little food for thought. That was a very unique situation. I think we're gonna simmer off a little bit, but from what I understand in Los Angeles, they still predict that housing prices are gonna go up. I think 15% I saw in Zillow's prediction for 2022. There might be a lot to do at the beginning of the year to roll up into that, but that's still a lot of appreciation. It's better probably now to buy, maybe, than it was earlier this year, because maybe it's not as competitive, but rates are going up, prices are going up, so you're still paying more than you did a few months ago. My advice is shit or get off the pot. And I'd say it in the nicest way possible. I've seen it so many times that people kick themselves for not buying earlier. You'll know when it'll be right for you. But like I said, housing prices are predicted to continue to go up. It doesn't seem like it seemed like it might slow down a little bit, but that's just from being at an all-time high and a complete frenzy. So now it's going to be a little bit above normal. Number 3, is it still a good time to buy? I think so. My answer is yes. If you're ready, yes, it is a good time to buy. Another reason it's a good time to buy, we know for a fact that there's going to be 5 more interest rate hikes. And we've already seen demand slow down a little bit in buyer demand, but there's still very little inventory. So it might take you a second to buy anyways. So you should be looking. We expect housing prices to go up. So a difference between this year and next year, you may see on a $1 million property, $100,000 difference. And if you bought right now, the best piece of advice I can give you is if you bought right now, and let's say that $1 million property is $1.1 million a year from now or next spring, even though their interest rates are high, what if they do go down like people are predicting and you have a chance to refi? Because usually interest rates kind of fluctuate, during a recession or after a recession. You'll have a chance to make up that money then. So you'll be able to save on your interest rates and your monthly payment then. But, if you wait, you're going to pay more anyways. Yes, it's a good idea to buy right now. If you're thinking about it, don't wait. Just go for it. You're going to save money on the purchase price and on the monthly mortgage with the interest rates. And then later you'll have a chance to refi anyways, or you should, at least what experts are saying. Also, I just want to go into the housing bubble again. A lot of people think there's going to be a housing bubble. When I talk to buyers, they're like hoping for it because a lot of them think, 2007, 2008, 2009, prices hit a peak and then drop dramatically. I'm not saying it's not possible, but many experts, I'm not hearing anything about a housing bubble. I'm hearing a taper off, a leveling off, maybe more equal market or a neutral market, but I'm not hearing anything about a housing bubble. So for those of you who are waiting for that, because prices seem high, I'm not an expert, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think you may be setting yourself up for paying more later. Just gonna pay more. It's really up to you. I don't wanna say that I have the crystal ball, but that's what everything I read says. You're just gonna pay more later if you wait. So I would just say, yeah, as you wait, rates go up, prices go up. Maybe it won't be as competitive, but that doesn't mean that prices still aren't gonna go up. You're going to be based off comps that happened recently, and the next ones are higher. So what's going to happen? We get all this inventory out of nowhere. You're just going to see a taper off. You're not going to see a bottom or a correction. The idea of the recession, if you look at this chart I sent earlier or showed you earlier, and 5 out of 6 last 6 recessions, the housing prices went up during the recession. And to give you an idea right now what's going on, I'm seeing luxury buyers buy properties right now, cash, still go into the marketplace. They're being, thoughtful about the interest rates, but they realize it's going to save them money now instead of waiting. So they just go forward. They take a step back for a second. I think a lot of first-time buyers, at least in LA, because the price point's about, $1 million to $1.2 million, $1.3 million for an entry-level property in LA, or at least a decent one. And they're thinking, maybe I can wait a little bit and I'll, get a better deal or something. Take a note out of the book of, luxury buyers. They're buying. The big properties are being bought. People buying the dirt. They're buying, selling $4 million houses, $6 million houses. Saw a house in Beverly Hills that was sold for sale by an owner that went from like 5.9 a year and a half ago to they just sold it for 7.3. So properties are moving even at the luxury level, even right now. So I think if you're a first-time buyer, you need to really evaluate and think more foresight and think, do I pay a little bit more than I wanted to initially because you got conditioned that there was low rates, the last 2 years? And do I think I'm going to save money later by not waiting? And you have to think forward. So that would be my advice. If you like the video you saw today, you hate the word recession, hit the like button. I hate the word recession. It scares the shit out of me. I have gone through it before, but it's gonna happen. It always happens. Hopefully the information I provide you about housing and interest rates and what should happen with the rates eventually, the housing prices, whether you should buy or not, was helpful. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Until next time, thank you.